Am I gonna say it or are you gonna say it? Brilliant! She-Hulk episode 9, aka She-Hulk the finale, has just dropped. This episode was a crucial make or break point for me that determined whether I was gonna like She-Hulk in the bottom tier of Disney Plus shows or in the higher tier. And I'll be completely honest with you guys, I was so ready before hitting play on that episode for me to rant off, just already list off every single complaint I've had with most of the Disney Plus finales, but I was not expecting them to do what they just did. And alright, you got me. Still, I know there's gonna be some people that just want to nitpick the heck out of that fun finale. You do you. But what I'm going to be doing here for you guys is giving you my spoiler review on She-Hulk episode 9, pointing out some Easter eggs you might have missed, as well as talking about the series as a whole and whether we think Marvel can learn from this or improve on it. But who are we kidding? Improve, because although this finale was really fun, there's still some glaring issues on this entire series. Still, I want to hear from you guys, whether you're someone who loved this finale or hated it. Both sides, I think, are completely valid, and I just love to hear from each end of the spectrum. But starting off here with episode 9, we open up with a little homage to the original Hulk television series that came out in the 1970s. This was kind of an interesting and almost random way to play into the episode, and has me theorizing this finale was not the original plan for what they had in mind. Maybe that's a little conspiracy thing in me, but I have a big feeling that the finale was supposed to be completely different and not include at all this whole breaking the fourth wall subplot. I feel like this was originally part of the show because Jennifer Walters was going to quit her lawyer job at this big firm so that she could go open her own practice and, just like Saul Goodman, bust out some cheesy lawyer commercials for clients. They ended up not doing that at all, but I bet you they filmed that stuff and were like, what do we do with this now? We'll just throw it into the opening of this episode. That's my theory, but I feel like it's very plausible. From there, we're dealing with the aftermath of the previous episode where She-Hulk raged out in a public area, got arrested by damage control, and is now under orders that if she wants to be let loose, she can never transform into the She-Hulk again. This is, of course, the thing now that got her fired from her job because the whole point was that they wanted her to be in She-Hulk form, move back in with her parents, and start figuring out, okay, who is behind Intelligentsia, and Jennifer Walters still wanting to do things by the book and sue the people responsible instead of hurting them. That's where we get another scene in here that I feel was also going to be included in a completely different way, but then when the finale or the show got changed last minute, they were like, alright, we already filmed this stuff, let's throw it in. A college Jennifer Walters shaking her booty to the camera. Whoever decided to keep that in the show, I want to thank you very much. But with Jennifer Walters being back home and just being bombarded with her family, she kind of wants to escape and decides to take up Emil Blonsky on his offer to just go hang out on his land and kind of unwind. Well, at the same time, Nikki and Pug will be infiltrating Intelligentsia during a physical event where they send Pug in to kind of be one of these women haters. Now, a couple of thoughts on this. This has been kind of like the recurring thing that a lot of people out there get sensitive about, is just She-Hulk calling out some of these people that literally exist, and I see them in my comment section every time I make a breakdown, because I myself have gotten death threats just from saying I don't mind watching She-Hulk and I think it could be enjoyable. That alone. But to me, so far in this episode, at this point, I was like, oh, that's it. This is going to be another trash finale. They're going to rush everything at the end. It's no surprise at all that Todd ended up being the one behind Intelligentsia and kind of the big bad of the show, where he was the one hiring thugs to steal She-Hulk's blood so that he can inject it with himself. Like, it was all going the most predictable route that we all saw coming from a mile away, all the way back from like episode 2. I even got a little more confused when Emil Blonsky showed up as Abomination for the event, because it made me go, oh, so Abomination was a bad guy this whole time. He was faking it and was just trying to get out of prison working with these man babies. And mind you, this is me staying up till 2 a.m. because that's when the episode drops in my time. I was sitting there kind of pissed and ready to just hate this thing, and then all hell started breaking loose. Titania shows up, the Hulk shows up, Jennifer Walters is just looking at us at the camera going, this is so messy, what's going on? You really want this as a finale? And I'm screaming at my TV, no, Jen, I do not want this. And she freaking fixes it. I thought I was bugging out whenever my TV returned to the Disney Plus home screen. I was like, where's my remote? What did I touch? Only for that to be part of this extensive fourth wall breaking scene that I'm just going to say I think was so much fun and just brought the whole finale to a different level that I really enjoyed. The way we have Marvel Studios now part of the MCU is such a crazy thought. But it's like Jennifer Walters took everything I had in my mind and complaints about MCU Disney Plus finales and was just saying it to the writers themselves. This is trash, this is dumb, this is so predictable, what are you guys even writing? And let's be honest, the writing in some of these She-Hulk episodes have not been the best. Not every joke landed, not every storyline was flowing as perfectly as it could, which was completely understandable why there was a lot of people unhappy with this show, but I never thought they would call themselves out. I think it takes a pretty big person to admit when they've created something that was not going to be satisfying and just say it flat out to the audience, look, it ain't working, and Jennifer Walters as She-Hulk is gonna fix it. This is something also very much in line with her character in the comics. There's literally issues where she does this exact same thing, is just rip the page open and goes, this is what we're doing for this issue? Why couldn't the writers come up with a better story? So this is ingrained in She-Hulk character. And I know there's gonna be people who would have loved this finale if it was Deadpool doing all of this. If Deadpool was the one that showed up to Marvel Studios and said, you writers suck, this is dumb, let's change things up, do this, everybody would be eating it up. But She-Hulk does it, and it's lazy and dumb, and it's trying to have your cake and eat it too. Really? I was laughing my butt off seeing her fight off the Marvel employees and then end up meeting what their version of Kevin Feige is, which is essentially a robot. That if you actually look very closely at, still has the hat Kevin Feige wears on the robot. That was an interesting little touch. But Kevin here, standing for Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnective Nexus, just has this back and forth dialogue with She-Hulk that I just found pretty fun. They straight up call out a bunch of flaws in the She-Hulk series as a whole that we can all agree with, that has just been predictable and dumb. Like, come on, did we really want to see a finale where She-Hulk has to fight a hulked out Todd? I would have been so mad if that's the finale they went with, and I'd much rather have this fourth wall breaking where they just admit that. They even talk about problems within their movies like repetitive plot lines or character issues, specifically daddy issues. She asked when we're gonna see the X-Men, something we all want to know about. I thought this was just really fun, and I was giggling at a lot of the jokes and back and forth fourth wall breakings, making fun of Marvel, making fun of the fans, making fun of expectations in general. It was just fun to me. When I'm praising this fourth wall breaking scene, it's not because I think the writing is so ingenious and mind-blowing. No wonder Kevin Feige got Rick and Morty writers. You need to be next level smart to do this. No, if anything, I can totally understand the people who think this is lazy and just a cop out of a finale, but I much rather would have had this finale than what they were about to do. This shows me the fun you could have with She-Hulk, and that's all this show has just really been. Harmless fun. If they do a season 2 of She-Hulk, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do, I would for sure want them to step up the writing on here, make the jokes a little more clever, definitely buff up the legal cases in here and actually make it sound like actual practice. Some more action sequences, because although this whole series has proved you don't really need big action fights all throughout to be fun, it's still something I think fans would love to see. She-Hulk kicking some butt. I know I'd love to see it. Her kicking butt in the courtroom and then kicking butt outside of it. That would be great. But that stuff aside, I did think it was kind of smart that She-Hulk was able to just surpass all that BS and get right to the finale without having the big battle, without having the big climax or big exposition moment from the bad guy. He just gets arrested. He's gonna get taken away. And then we have a traditional MCU finale where it's just everything wrapped up nicely while teasing bigger things for the future. And it's also a bonus Charlie Cox Daredevil came back in for one more episode. I was not expecting that, but a really welcomed addition because I'm so happy to see Charlie Cox in here. But okay, let's actually talk about some of these repercussions for the finale, because like with Emil Blonsky, I thought when he was showing up at the Intelligentsia meeting, he was a bad guy, and turns out he wasn't. He was never working with Intelligentsia, he never had a second agenda, he actually is reformed and essentially a good guy now. I am just as shocked as you. I thought maybe they were gonna pull something over our head and make him a villain that was behind this all along, wanting She-Hulk's blood for whatever reason. But turns out no, Todd just paid him to show up to the event. He needs money and he's just willing to do it regardless of what the event was about. So Abomination was really there as just a guest celebrity, not really promoting or supporting their message. And I guess since we're on that topic, we'll just talk about the post-credits scene. He takes Wong up on his offer to just get out of prison because he doesn't want to be there for another 10 years, kind of putting Abomination and Emil Blonsky in the pocket of the MCU if they ever want to use him in Thunderbolts or any other projects. I'm just gonna be honest with you, it's great that Emil Blonsky changed his path, became a good guy, and now has this duality of like, I don't really want to fight, I don't want to be a bad guy, I've changed my ways, but also it feels wasted, man. I wanted to see him come back. All this buildup and years of waiting, it just feels underutilized, and I felt like they could have done something better with Abomination. So I was bummed out with the way She-Hulk handled that aspect of it, but we'll see how they handle him in the future, if they even bring him back, hopefully in the Thunderbolts. Then we got to talk about here Bruce Banner finally coming back from Sakaar, doing what we all suspected whenever he went out there, is so he could meet his son, Scar. That I gotta tell you, they went with a really interesting choice of the design for him, because he looks interesting. That's all I'll say. Interesting. Not a big fan of the look, just like I'm not a big fan of the Hulk in regular clothing. Marvel changed things up because I am tired of Smart Hulk. But because of the comics and the World War Hulk storyline, we knew Scar was coming. Hopefully these are the baby steps so that we can get a Savage Hulk back, so we can get an interesting Hulk storyline where he is fighting again and it can be awesome. There's a lot of rumblings going around that Captain America 4 New World Order is going to be heavily tied into setting up more Hulk stuff, since the leader is the villain there. So we can probably expect to see Hulk and his son Scar along with She-Hulk show up in there. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I just don't know if I'm loving this direction for the Hulk storyline. Maybe it's just me. Ending it off with Jennifer Walters making it clear that she's gonna remain a lawyer, is gonna sue Intelligentsia, and is gonna work both as a lawyer and a superhero, which is why if we get a season 2, I would be super excited about that, because it would be that perfect balance of a legal case, superhero action, just some random dumb fun in the MCU. I still think She-Hulk is a clear indication that Disney has not nailed this formula or just way of going about their Disney Plus series, because although I really enjoyed it, I'm not going to ignore the voices and other people who hate this show and said watching She-Hulk felt like homework to them. Because people want to be caught up with the MCU, they don't want to feel left out, they want to go into the next Marvel movie being completely filled in. You should never have to watch something that makes it feel like homework. And there's upcoming Disney Plus series that I think I'm going to feel that way about, like the upcoming Echo show or the Agatha show. I'm not going to lie, I'm not that interested in those, and I think when I watch those, it's gonna feel like homework. I really hope I'm wrong about that, but I'm just being honest. But this is where I throw it off to you guys. What do you think about the She-Hulk finale? Now that we've gotten most of the Disney Plus series out of the way, especially for Phase 4, it's time to rank them, and I'm definitely gonna be doing a video on that. So let me know your guys' thoughts about where you rank She-Hulk, even specifically finales. Which have been your favorite finales? I think Loki, to me, is still probably my favorite finale. Anything and everything, be sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.